All right. Hello, folks. My name is Tonya, and this is a comeback yoga upper body stretch for yoga for veterans. Comeback Yoga is a nonprofit organization. No, we're not only just serving veterans and active duty military, but also your support team. And could be a friend, family member, mentor, coach. And we're here to support you in really learning to use these tools to relax, to overcome any symptoms that you might have of PTS, anything that supports you in the overwhelm of daily life. And as a nonprofit organization, we do rely on donations. And at the end of the practice today, you'll have the opportunity to donate or at least share the class. All right, so we are going to get started. We'll be here for around 20 minutes. You can be sitting on the floor, you could be sitting in a chair, you could be sitting however you'd like. You don't need any other tools for today's practice. Um, you just need to show up and be ready and curious for what we're going to do today in these 20 minutes or so. So, right off the bat, we're going to start off with just a moment of like grounding, of getting into this practice. So, just letting everything else from the day just kind of fall away. And I'd like for you to take a moment to think about something right now that you might be grateful for. And what you might be grateful for could be anything. There's no right or wrong in what we are grateful for. And sometimes we think, oh, there's nothing to be grateful for when we get ourselves into the headspin of negative bias and negative thinking. It's hard to sometimes find those things. So, one example for me is that I have computer internet. Um, I'm so grateful for that right now that I have these tools available to me that I can share the yoga practice with you. I'm so grateful for you for showing up for today's lesson. I'm so grateful for comeback yoga. So those are things. Sometimes even just like, what did you have for breakfast? Or coffee or water, fresh water. So let's just take a moment and just think about what it is that you are grateful for right now. So it could maybe have to dig a little bit, or maybe it just comes right off the top of your head. And as you think about this one or many things, you can go into a little bit more detail if you want, or just settle into I am grateful for, and then whatever it is. And then I'd like for you to think about or sense how gratitude lands within your body. So if you think about it, we're up here in our head. We think about that thing we're grateful for. But then I'd like for you to take a moment to just drop down into your body, drop down into your seat, drop down into the practice of just becoming aware. So, noticing how gratitude arrives as a sensation within your body. So, where do you initially feel that? When you think about that, where do you initially feel that? If you go into your body, sometimes there's something that really stands out. It could be a little maybe heart palpitation, or maybe you feel some energy rising. Maybe you feel warmth. Maybe there's something, maybe you feel it in your stomach, or maybe your whole body just has a tingling. So take another moment or so just to notice how you feel with that gratitude. right. And you can go ahead if your eyes were closed to open your eyes. And sometimes it's helpful to write down what it is that you experienced. And you might even find that you feel a little bit more relaxed now that you thought about that you are grateful for. And you might even take a moment later on, if it was a person that you're grateful for, to let them know. Sometimes that's a really nice thing to do for someone. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with some movement now for the neck and shoulders today mostly, but we will be doing some side body work as well. So, what I'd like you to do first is we're just going to rotate the wrist here. So, we're just going to wake up the joints a little bit here first. Sometimes we get a lot of stagnation that builds up in our joints, and then that can affect, how we feel overall. Maybe we might feel rigid in the rest of our body. We'll go the other direction. And then rotating at the elbows like you're jumping rope. And the other direction. Okay, now hands to the shoulders, rotating the arms around. If it's okay or possible to bring the elbows even closer together. Sometimes, if your shoulders are really muscular or really tight, that may not be possible, but just you do you. Let's go the other direction. All right. I got the arms, shoulders, wrists warmed up. So now let's just kind of move the fingers like so. All right. And then just a little rotation of the head a little bit. You can go slow. I like to go slow because I can get a little bit dizzy with the movement of my head. But if it feels like you could go faster and move your head around like so, you can do that. But I always get a little bit dizzy. So just kind of going side to side. All right. And then bringing your head to center. Take one arm out to the side, and you can just reach out through the heel of your hand. And then take your opposite hand, bringing it to the side of your head, and just slowly bring your head down, creating a little bit of resistance, your head kind of pressing up into your hand. And just feeling that sensation that feels like an acceptable sensation. We are getting a little stretch, and then breathe. Breathing in gently and breathing out slowly. And then slowly press your head up into your hand and release that. And we'll do the other side. Hand coming up and over, arm reaching out, pressing out through the heel of the hand. And again, just a little gentle resistance, head and hand pressing together. And letting that arm stretch out away from your shoulder. Sometimes I like to even drag my fingers against my scalp a little bit. And then as your head comes up, just gently release. Okay, very good. Okay, so now we're going to interlace our fingers, pressing our fingers under our chin. As you lift your elbows, you're going to drop your chin. You can have your gaze forward or down. And then pushing your chin up with your hands, elbows coming down. And then chin comes down. So there's a little downward pressure, not much. The hands pressing gently against the fingers. Or I'm sorry, the chin pressing against the fingers. Just a little bit. We'll do 3 more. And last one. Good. All right. So sometimes that little guided movement can really help to release tension in the neck. Hopefully, you notice that. Okay. So now we're going to take one hand to the side of our head. And again, just a little gentle pressure of the head, of your head against your hand. It's just a really, just like 5%. It's not a huge pressure. It's just a little bit, maybe 10%. And then release that. And then we'll do the other side, pushing your head against your hand. And again, a little muscular engagement can actually release the tension in the in the neck, right? Okay. Wonderful. So now let's just kind of notice how our neck feels. All right. So you can have your hands off to your side here, maybe holding on to your chair, and turn one palm out and open. Bring the arm straight up overhead and then side bend to the side. So you want to keep some resistance here. So you might push down onto the chair or the floor and then inhale from your waistline, exhale over. Try to keep your kind of your ribs back. So it's not a jutting of the forward of the ribs. It's kind of creating a little bit engagement in the side ribs there. And then now we're going to take that same arm, bringing it down and look away from your arm towards the floor. Just that palm now facing down. And hold this for 3 breaths. And then arm lifts, bring yourself upright, gaze forward, and bring that hand to the back of your head. Meet your hand with your other hand, elbows out wide, chest comes forward, head goes back into hands, and then elbows forward, creating that resistance, head and hand pressing together, maybe leaning back into the chair. 2 more, inhaling, opening the elbows, lifting your chest. Exhaling, elbows forward, rounding your back, creating that resistance with head and hands. And one more time. Inhale, open, chest forward. And exhale, leaning back. Good. All right. And then release those arms down. Okay. We're ready for the other side. So your palm turns out. You can a little pushing down onto the chair or maybe to the floor. Palm turns out. With your inhale, stretch your arm up to the very top as far as you can reach up. And then exhale, side bend with a little bit of resistance in the side of the chair, hand on the side of the chair. And then we'll inhale, lengthen, grow longer, your feet pressing down into the floor if you're in a chair. Exhale, reach it over, pull those ribs back slightly. And one more, reaching up. And then exhale, take your arm down to your side, look at the floor, and your palm either turning to the back of the room or towards your chair. 2 more breaths here. And coming on upright, head forward. Okay, let's take a moment just to kind of scan our body, see how that was feeling, how that landed. And okay, so the next thing we'll do is we'll clasp our fingers, interlace the fingers here, and rotate the wrist. So if you're doing a lot of work at the computer, these little exercises are really good for um, minimizing that computer strain, that neck strain. Okay. And then press your palms forward, stretching your fingers. Lower your hands, palms facing you, and push up. All right. And now bringing one arm across your torso. You can hold on to your wrist, your forearm, or your tricep, maybe if you have the option to hook your elbow. So that just depends on again, how bulky your if you have a lot of musculature, this can be really difficult because there's a lot of muscle in the way. Um, so just go to your um, ability with whatever, working with what you have with your body style, your body type. All right, release that. Let's do the other side. So again, maybe holding on to your wrist or forearm or hooking the elbow. So you're also going to feel this in your neck, shoulder. All right, and release that. Okay. So if you are in a chair, come forward in the chair, but you can just still be on the floor, sitting in kind of a cross-legged position. You're gonna take your legs out a little bit wider here, and you're gonna come to the side. Your chest comes forward, and then go to the other side, and then round yourself back. Come forward and around, forward and around. We'll do one more time this direction. So you're kind of arching your back too. Let's go the other direction. Coming forward, shoulder can come down. Just kind of move in a way that maybe your torso isn't used to moving, but I want to try to work through it somatically. So noticing how you're breathing, noticing the sensations. Let's do one more time. Awesome. Okay, I'm bringing those feet back to hip distance if you're in a chair or however you're sitting, whatever's comfortable for you. And we're going to do a little twist over to one side. So the back of your hand can be to the outside of your knee. You can also have your palm facing your knee. You could also grab the side of the chair, and we're just going to twist. So press your feet down. Keep your knees, if you're sitting like I am, about hip distance. And then look over our shoulder, our back shoulder, noticing what's on the wall behind us, on the shelf, maybe, on the floor. And we'll come back to center and let's switch sides, palm in or out, whatever feels best, maybe even holding to the chair. And then slowly rotate your hand on your knee, if you have your hand on your knee. You're a little creating some of that resistance. So your knee isn't getting pushed in by your hand. Your knee is pushing your hand away. So then you should feel that stretch coming into the upper back as you look over your shoulder, noticing what's behind you on this side. Maybe some shelves that need organizing or some dust on the floor that needs to be swept. but also just noticing sensation in your body. And let's come back to center. Wonderful. So, one last thing that I like to do because I think it's all kind of interconnected is the hips. So, let's just do one final stretch for the hips. So, you can either cross your ankle over your ankle, or you can bring your ankle up onto your knee. And then from here, come forward. And what I also like to do here, if you have access to your foot, maybe you have shoes on, maybe you'd like to take your shoes off here. I find that when I relax, when my feet are relaxed, I get a foot massage that actually reduces the tension in my neck. Now, I don't know if there's any scientific evidence of this, but for me, I notice it. So I'm just going to kind of rotate my ankle around, even kind of massaging the top of my foot, the bottom of my foot as I lean forward. So I'm stretching that hip here as I come forward. It's all connected. Good. And then coming up. All right. And then the other ankle in front of the ankle, you can do that and come forward or grab your pant leg and bring your ankle up onto your knee. Massage your foot, your toes. Come forward, stretching out your back and your hip. All right. And come on up. All right. Let's plant those feet and take one more moment here just to do a body scan. So while you're having a seat, noticing the surface under your feet, noticing the surface under your bottom, noticing how you're sitting, noticing your breathing, noticing your shoulders, your hands, noticing all the things that we stretched today, and noticing the overall state of your being and your breath. So let's take 3 breaths here. Nice, slow, deep inhalation. So deep meaning to the side ribs and down in towards your seat. In fact, think about as if you were breathing into the lower lobes of the lungs, but it's like you're smelling something amazing. So maybe a favorite food or maybe a favorite flower or scent. So just take that smell, take that deep breath in as if you were smelling something so amazing that you're so grateful to be smelling. That's the kind of deep breath I'm talking about. And then let it go. Good. Let's do 2 more like that. Smelling something so incredible. Maybe it's just a smell of fresh air, of pine needles, of a forest, or of moving water, of a river or the ocean. And breathe it down and out. One more time. As if you are breathing just something so incredibly amazing. You can even visualize it and then let it go. Good. So, those 3 deep breaths, you can do those any time of day. Helping to visualize will help to increase the lung capacity and increase the length of not only your inhalation, but also your exhalation. So, thank you, folks, for being here today on behalf of Comeback Yoga. We are so grateful for you. And let me know if you have any questions. I hope to see you next time on the internet. Take good care of yourself.